This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Kettering City Council. Today's date is November 28th, 2023. And we'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your head for the invocation. Dear Lord, thank you for your abundant blessings and surrounding us with the stewardship and a supportive community in Kettering. We thank you for the ability to engage in useful work and for the honor of bearing these important responsibilities. We are grateful for your boundless love for all of us. Please continue to give us the strength and compassion with which to serve and to grant us the wisdom to make appropriate decisions. Help us remain humble and grateful for the opportunity to lead. Guide this council so that we may work in harmony while serving our citizens with integrity and purpose. Allow us to fulfill the responsibilities entrusted in us by our residents. I would like to recognize our Miami Valley Communication Council TV operator, Mike Saproni. Mike, thank you for your assistance. Mr. Duke has an excused absence this evening. I would like to call on Mrs. Fisher at this point for a motion to approve the minutes from November 14th, 2023, council meeting and workshop.
Your Honor, I have reviewed both of those sets of minutes, and I do find them in order, and I move for approval.
Second.
Anyone have any questions, comments? All right, hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Klepass, Mrs. Hall, Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Duval, Mayor Lehner.
Yes. We have two appointments to make this evening to the Sister City Committee. First one is Jennifer Yunker, term ending 12/31/25. The second one is also for Sister Cities. It's Michael Moorhead, term ending 12/31/25. We have a motion for approval.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none. Welcome to both people to the Sister City Committee. We also have a proclamation today, certificate of recognition for the Altar Boys Varsity Golf Team, who are our 2023 Division II state champions. Would someone like to read this proclamation? Who would like to read it?
I
Bob?
will, ma'am. I'll read it. Certificate of recognition and congratulation is hereby presented to the Alder High School Boys Varsity Golf Team. The City of Kettering is honored to recognize the Alder Boys Varsity Golf Team for their hard-fought and successful 2023 golf season. Winning the 2023 Division II State Championship exemplifies the dedication, hard work, and sportsmanship exhibited by these talented athletes. This achievement has brought distinction and honor to Alder High School and the Kettering community. It is with great pleasure that the City Council and the Kettering community congratulates the boys varsity golf team on this exceptional accomplishment and extends our best wishes for continued success. It is presented this 28th day of November by not only our great mayor, but the City Council. And I'm dying to know what the number was on this little golf thing you guys did. So somebody's got to share that.
What little golf?
What the score thing was that brought this big championship.
Strokes.
Yeah, I
Strokes.
wanna
How many
know.
strokes they went by?
What was it?
And the rest of you come up and make a presentation.
596.
596.
Tied in Division II state record.
Oh, there we go.
They put these strokes.
I think, you know what, I don't know if there's 4 on the team or 5.
Do what now?
What's that?
Guys, gather around them so they can get a good picture.
of you over there, yeah.
I'll just direct like a mother. Just get around them. That's very nice. Oh, I don't want to be in the background. Yeah, last year. Who's bragging? There you go. I'm hiding behind the mayor so my head's not. All right.
Yes.
Give it back. We need to put it up.
See you next year.
That'll get hung on one of our entryways, won't it?
Well, I know. That was I think that's what she was worried about. It needed to be put on the streets. Good question.
Thanks.
Congrats. Congrats.
Okay. Somehow Kettering is always well represented in the sports world, so it's pretty cool. Let's see. We have no public hearings this evening. We do, at this point, have the opportunity for anyone who wishes to speak about any of the legislation that is on the agenda tonight. Anyone wishing to speak before council with comments or new information about the legislation on tonight's agenda may do so at this time. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Speaker must state their name and address. Comments should be addressed to council. If you have comments that are not about the legislation on tonight's agenda, there will be an opportunity for those to be heard later in the meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to council about any of the legislation? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to ordinances in second reading, and I'll call on Mrs. Fisher to introduce the first one.
Your Honor, I do have an ordinance to amend Section 660.20 of the codified ordinance to prohibit illicit discharge of pollutants into the storm drainage system. And it is, requested by the engineering department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Greason.
Yes, Mayor, I'm going to ask Mr. Bergstresser to cover this one.
Thank you. This ordinance tonight is really an administrative change. We have, as part of the city's stormwater control program required by the EPA, there are 6 minimum control measures that we have to adhere to. One of those is illicit discharges, which think of dumping oils and grease and things like that, other pollutants into the waterways. We have an existing ordinance that governs these types of activities. However, it's mainly geared towards dumping in the streams, like throwing tires and junk and rubbish that would not control the flow properly of water. This change to this ordinance strengthens this and brings us into compliance with what are the expectations under our stormwater control program and the federal requirements that go into that. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Again, this is the second reading, and we were recommending approval.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Kleepass?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes. Okay, if we can now move to resolutions. Who's got the first one?
Ready? Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I have a resolution this evening authorizing the city manager to contract with the state of Ohio for audit services for audit year 2023. The estimated cost is $60,844. The amount is available. It's requested by the Finance Department. I move for approval.
Second?
Moved in second, Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. We are required to be audited each year, and this year the Ohio Auditor's Office has agreed to a one-year audit not to exceed the previous year 2022's audit fees. Sometimes there's a request for proposals to select auditors. There's no associated RFP in this case, as the state is completing the audit instead of a third-party independent public accounting firm. So we'll work with the state of Ohio this year, and we recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions? Okay, see none, call the roll.
Mr. Klepass.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall. Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Duval.
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Mayor Laner.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to contract with Central Square Technologies for software upgrades. This is being requested by the Finance Department. The cost is $50,000 and there's $50,000 budgeted for it. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. We use Central Square Technologies for our finance department system, where there's a mandatory upgrade to that software. It's required. Included in the upgrade is the build-out of some upgraded cloud environments, data conversion from one version to the next, report writing improvements, and training for employees that use the system throughout the organization. $39,380 of the costs will be capitalized and depreciated over time. The remaining $10,620 will be in training costs, and those will be split between the Finance Department and the Human Resource Department budgets. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, any questions? Okay, hearing none, call the roll.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Duval.
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Klepass.
Yes.
Mayor Laner.
Yes. Okay, we now have ordinances in first reading.
One more.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I skipped one. All right,
Your Honor, I have a resolution to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Kettering, State of Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31, 2023. The amount in question is $403,430 in net transfers and is requested by the Finance Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. We have a number of supplemental appropriations. We particularly do this time of year as we're anticipating needing to appropriate funds to prepare for expenditures that may be necessary, ensure that we have sufficient amounts of appropriation available. Want to go through these briefly and answer any questions you may have. We have a supplemental appropriation of $50,000 that's requested by the Law Department. This relates to outside legal services that have been necessary. In the Planning and Development Department, there were a number of expenses related to demolition costs, high-risk tree removals, which we had more of this year than anticipated, and some building security costs, securing costs as part of our nuisance abatement program. The Planning and Development Department has requested $45,000. In the Fire Department, a supplemental appropriations requested of $85,000 for the personnel budget for overtime-related expenditures. This particular request is really contingency at this point. We expect underspending in other full-time salaries, insurance, and operating expenditures may offset the overage for overtime. However, it's responsible budgeting to have sufficient appropriation available in case it's necessary. In the Street Maintenance Fund, and we do this annually, supplemental appropriation of $200,000 is requested for the purchase of salt for snow removal. I hope we don't need it this evening. It's a cold weather joke. The city budgets about $200,000 in funding for the upcoming winter salt requirements, but you know, we end up requesting more around this time of the year based on the prior year's usage, the price of the commodity, and whether there's underspending. So part of this request, which is $302,865, we expect will be offset by underspending. be glad to answer any questions about that. We're contracting for the purchase of up to 5,500 tons of salt, totaling, I'm sorry, I made a mistake earlier, 502,865, 302, which we believe will be offset by underspending, and then $200,000 transferred for the general fund. In the debt service fund, there's a supplemental appropriation of $5,000 for fees associated with our EMS billing services. That's due to additional revenue collections. In our capital improvement program fund, the Rosewood furniture, fixtures, and equipment, we have an $18,430 request. Essentially, the Kettering Parks Foundation has raised additional funds. We need to appropriate those funds to reimburse the city for expenses we've had with the Rosewood Center project, particularly the FF&E, furniture, fixtures, equipment in the theater. Again, that's $18,430. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have about these.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Klepass?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall? Mayor Lehner?
Yes. Okay, move to ordinances in first reading.
Your Honor, I have an emergency ordinance imposing a moratorium of 9 months on adult use cannabis operators within the city of Kettering, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is being requested by council office, and this is ordinance in the first reading.
Emergency. Move for approval.
Oh, I apologize. Move for approval.
Second.
Okay. I think we expect to hear from both Mr. Hammer and Mr. Bergstresser on this.
Thank you, Your Honor. As mentioned, this ordinance will impose a moratorium of 9 months on adult use cannabis operators within the city of Kettering, and it declares an emergency. On November 7th, Ohio voters approved State Issue 2, which enacted a new chapter of the Ohio Revised Code entitled Adult Use Cannabis Control. This new chapter of the ORC legalizes the cultivation, processing, and retail dispensing of adult use cannabis, commonly referred to as marijuana, and the new law will become effective on December 7th, 2023. At this point, I'll turn over to Mr. Hamer for further explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Bergstresser. Good evening, Your Honor, members of council. This piece of legislation is an emergency ordinance. It's an emergency so that it can go into effect prior to the effective date of State Issue 2, which, as Mr. Bergstresser mentioned, is December 7. And the usual ordinance adoption process would extend well beyond that. So if council votes in favor of the ordinance tonight, it would be effective immediately, and it would last for a duration of 9 months. And staff is recommending approval.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or anything? There are lots of concerns, but hearing none, call the roll.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Klepass?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have another emergency ordinance to appropriate project parcel 3T of the Danube Court Bridge Rehabilitation Project. It's city project number 03-924A, ODET project MOT-Danube Court Bridge Rehab PID 114100, and to declare an emergency. It is requested by the engineering department, and the estimated cost which is available is $300, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Bergstresser.
Thank you, Your Honor. As mentioned, this ordinance will appropriate a small parcel of temporary right-of-way for the Danube Court Bridge Rehabilitation Project, which is a 2024 capital improvement project. It also declares an emergency, and it will be effective upon adoption. That is to meet the project deadlines for the use of the federal money that is attached to the construction of the project. It is a very small parcel of right-of-way. It's only The value of it is only $300. However, there are existing property tax liens on the larger property that are unlikely to be resolved in time to keep the project on schedule and not lose funding. So therefore, we are recommending appropriation of this small, very, very small parcel of property so that we can move forward with the project in the spring of next year. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I do have a question. How do you have a $300 piece of property?
Your Honor, that is the minimum offer that ODOT has or when we use these types of funds. We have to offer at least $300, even though this is a .0025 acre parcel. So it's about the size of my desk. Yes.
Okay.
So that is the minimum offer we can make to someone.
Bet there was a real bidding war on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Call the roll? No, any questions first? Now call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Klepass?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes. Okay, we have no, or do we have any certifications and petitions this evening?
Your Honor, we do not have any certifications or petitions this evening.
We'll now move to the manager's report, community update.
Your Honor, we have a number of community updates. First and foremost, we want to congratulate the City of Kettering's Finance Department for the honor they received for the 41st consecutive year, and that is the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This certification is awarded to government entities whose financial reports achieve the highest standards in government accounting and financial reporting. And let me say, 41 years of getting this award consecutively is impressive. So we want to recognize them for that and congratulate them for their exceptional work. Leaf pickup update. Hope you got your leaves out. We are continuing this week to collect leaves throughout the districts in numerical order. Certainly, please make sure there are no branches, sticks, grass, or other yard waste among the leaves being collected. If you have questions, our service department would be glad to answer them. We are continuing our efforts to gather public input for Spark Kettering, the city's comprehensive community strategic planning process. As you know, the committee who has been working on this and staff and the city council have collected a lot of city input from our citizens and have crafted draft vision, mission, goal, and objective statements. And the public is invited to attend an open house where they can provide an input on our draft strategic plan. This input process starts Thursday, November 30th, 5 to 7 at the Wilmington Strooper Library. We certainly encourage people to attend. The Board of Community Relations is once again sponsoring the Martin Luther King Jr. Writing Contest for 2024. We want students to take advantage of this opportunity. Their submittals are due December 8th, 2023, and you can find more information at the city's website. Wanted to briefly touch base on our December meetings. We have some back-to-back council meetings this month. City council meetings will be held on obviously December 5th. Our budget workshop will start at 5 p.m. and our regular meeting once again at 7:30. We have Tuesday, December 12th, a workshop at 6 p.m. and our regular meeting on December 12th at 7:30. I'm excited to attend my first mayor's tree lighting, and I hope everybody in the community has a chance to join us Friday, December 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Lincoln Park Civic Commons. Another exciting event in Kettering is the ribbon cutting on December 2nd at 10 a.m. That's this Saturday for the Rosewood Arts Center. And if you haven't seen the renovations, they're amazing. We look forward to sharing all that's happening at the Rosewood with the public. Speaking of the Rosewood, their Arts Festival, the Rosewood Holiday Arts Festival, is Saturday, December 2nd as well, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you are interested in holiday shopping and you want a unique gift, discover all that the Rosewood Art Center has to offer from community artists. And I won't say the last statement on that slide because I would steal Mr. Kleepass's thunder. And lastly, our Christmas Day gathering for the city of Kettering, December 25th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Enjoy a hot meal with friends, sweet treats, festive holiday music, all free. December 25th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This year, it's at the Charles Latham Senior Center, and we certainly encourage anybody in Kettering to join us on Christmas Day.
Okay,
That's it, Your Honor.
thank you very much. Okay, we will now move on to any other business, but before we do that, I would like to invite anyone to come forward who wish to address council on a non-legislative issue. If so, you may come down at this point, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes. And you need to state your name and address, and comments should be addressed to council. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address council tonight? Not seeing anyone? No, okay. We'll now move on to council reports then, and we will start with Mrs. Fisher.
Your Honor, I'd say the highlight of my time between council meetings, it was on the 16th, and that is where we gave our appreciation to all of our Kettering volunteers. To me, that is one of our pillars of our community, one of our best things. Of course, we have awesome parks, but our volunteers are key to our success in our city, and to give them appreciation every year brings me not only joy, and I will say I appreciated Mr. Kleepass sharing the turkey spoon with me to help also serve everyone that was coming through the line. But so I encourage anybody that watches this lovely TV show called our city council meetings to volunteer, because it is a great way to give back to our community and keep it running like a well-oiled machine and save money in the process.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Kleepass.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the volunteers, because it was noted the day of the luncheon that we generally have the whole back room at the presidential filled with volunteers, and we only had half of it filled this year. And there has been a noticeable drop-off since the pandemic with the number of volunteers that have been active. So we're looking for a lot more folks to come on back. We're ready to have you. We got plenty of things for you to do.
Sure.
So, but it was a great event, and I don't mind sharing my turkey spoon with you.
You think we could afford a second turkey spoon?
Have to get a hold of the Kohlers and ask them
right.
about that. On the 18th of November, it was the 36th annual Mid-East Cross Country event over at the Latham Center is where the event, the run is through Indian Ripple Park. But the event is 3 states come together: Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. There's 24 runners from each state, 12 boys and 12 girls. They're seniors at their high school. They're the top runners in their state. And so this was like I say, another 36 years. Neil Sharsky and Bob Carl have been doing this. It's a great, great event for our city, because there is quite a large amount of people that come to that. There's buses with the teams on it, and it generally it's right before the Michigan-Ohio State game, so I always have to say something to the Michigan people. But we lost again this time, so it wasn't too good. But it's a great event. Look forward to it next year. And Neil Sharsky made a comment about our course is a true cross-country course. Those youth aren't running on asphalt or concrete. They're running a cross-country course. So, and Mary Beth and I presented the medals again this year, and hopefully somebody will be doing it next year, too. I appreciate the city manager talking about supporting small business and letting it up to me. I was looking for some comments for tonight about shopping Kettering, and what popped up was Lori Sims, former Lori Parks, who's a former school board member in Kettering, and boom, there on Facebook was, support local businesses this holiday season. When checking off your holiday list, consider the magic of supporting our local shops. Let's make this season about giving back and celebrating the spirit of our Kettering community. So shop Kettering. And Lori Sims is on the team now, along with that.
Good job, Lori.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony. Jill?
Yes. I wanted to first mention the Beaver Creek shooting, which is just devastating. And we owe it to the victims and families to continue to advocate for common sense gun laws. In Ohio, cities like ours are reliant on the state legislature to do that. And I just really hope we don't have to keep experiencing things like this in order for something to change. One of my dearest hopes is that my children will live in a future where gun violence is a rarity. Second, I just really appreciated the article about Kettering's home buyer assistance program being continued this year. I'm really proud of the city for helping 43 homeowners buy homes, and there's still more money this year, and I think it's a fantastic way to help low and moderate income home buyers to build financial net worth. And then my last thing is that I'm super excited. One of my favorite taco places is coming to Kettering. Taco John's is coming, and I can't wait.
Okay, where's it going to be?
By Myers.
Which Myers? Kettering Myers.
Yes.
Okay,
On Wilmington.
good. On Wilmington.
It's ready to go. Sitting there.
All right, we'll see you there.
Yeah, I would just like to add a comment on the ordinance for the moratorium on cannabis. This is uncharted waters for the state of Ohio and most certainly for the city of Kettering. And I think the city is taking a very prudent step in taking a wait-and-see attitude. This is a touchy subject with a lot of our citizens, and I think we're doing the right thing by adopting the wait-and-see attitude, and we'll give it its proper study and make the proper decision I think our citizens will support.
Thank you. Lisa?
So tonight, I want to mention for the Board of Community Relations Martin Luther King Jr. Writing Contest, we are also accepting video submissions. Students can submit 2-minute videos, and those will also be considered as well. Just wanted to throw that out there. Quick congratulations to Board of Community Relations member Bill Shearhart, who was named by the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association the 2023 Professional of the Year, and Dan Bogan with the City of Kettering, who was named the 2023 Youth Sports Coach of the Year. I think that's pretty great. I'm pretty proud of them. And lastly, I just want to thank the city for the opportunity to go to the National League of Cities Conference in Atlanta last week before last. It's been a long couple weeks. It was a wonderful experience and just a great chance to learn and to connect with others. And I do want to say that even though Ohio State may have lost this weekend, while I was sitting in the expo hall having lunch, me and another woman, council member from Cleveland, talking to a gentleman from Alabama, and he said something about Roll Tide. And she said, "Oh, that's nothing, watch this." And she yelled very loudly. She yelled OH, and someone from all the way across the expo hall yelled IO. So it was my favorite. So anyway, that's all.
Okay, thanks. I would like to, I think they're reading over my shoulders on talking about the volunteer luncheon. But as Tony observed, it was about half the crowd as normal. 300 absolutely wonderful, faithful volunteers, but we did used to have 1,000. And so I'm going to suggest, it's just a little bit early. It's not too early to start talking about New Year's resolutions. So think about it and do some thinking about it, praying about it, and hopefully committing yourself to spending at least some time next year on one of the many, many volunteer opportunities we have in this community. You'll be better for it, and the city will be better for it as well. So, but in spite of the smaller crowd, let me just say they did their usual fantastic job of putting on a great lunch, wonderful company, and just join them next year if you haven't done it before. Second thing I'd like to call your attention to, it was mentioned in the city manager's report, but the next phase of comment and listening for the city's strategic planning process, the SPARK effort, is coming up this week. It's the 30th, November 30th, and it's from 5 to 7 at the library. If you've attended 1, 2, 3, 4 meetings before, you'll be able to see how we've come along on this plan. If it's your very first one, you'll have a chance to react and give your feedback. This is your community. This is your opportunity to improve our community. As great as it is, we can always be better. And so I really encourage you to join us at the SPARK meeting on November 30th. Next week at our council meeting, the last council meeting of the year, we are going to have a farewell to 2 longtime members. Week after next. Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah. Did I get the date right? the 12th, yeah. That will be their last council meeting. Many of you know that Bruce has not been with us at council meetings all year as he recovered from some serious health issues. But he is going to be attending this last meeting. And if anyone wants to come and be here, moral support for him as he attends his last meeting and Tony attends his, you're more than welcome. We're just going to have a few goodbye. What'd you say? Yes. Anyway, all right, but we will miss them, and we'll save any more goodbyes for 2 weeks from now. Okay. And I hope to see you all at the mayor's tree lighting, and that'll be coming up on Friday. And it's supposed to rain in the morning, but Mary Beth Odell tells me the sun's going to come out at noon, so keep your fingers crossed. With that, this meeting is adjourned, and the next meeting will be on December 5th. December 5th. Got it. All right.